Hello and welcome. I hope you're safe and well. In today's exciting episode, I got out all my orange jackets, and my goodness, I have a lot of orange and apricot jackets. The lobster one sort of counts.
It's perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Perfect jacket.
As I mentioned, I have way more orange and apricot jackets than I thought. So here's a little clip of the order that I'm showing them in. So if you absolutely positively have to skip to a certain one that you're waiting for, this is the order that I shot them in. It's the safari jacket. It's got all different jungle animals on there, and you can just see me talk about each one for a few minutes. But yeah, I did not realize that's an orange Chanel tweed. It's got green beads on it, but to me it's the orange Chanel. And yeah, so there's quite a few of them. Oh my God, I love that flower jacket. And this one is just tame in comparison to the other one. The butterfly half done one. It's got blue and orange butterflies on there, but it's kind of inspired by monarch butterflies, so I put it in the orange one. Okay, so you get the point. There are a lot of these jackets, so we will start with the lobster one, which, I don't know, I mean, it's purple and blue and periwinkle blue. I covered up the periwinkle blue, but it also has lobsters on it, and it's called the lobster jacket, so I decided to put it in with the oranges because in my mind it's the only bit that's not beaded, and there aren't any orange beads. Well, there's one tiny little orange bead on there, but to cover a stitch in a different colour. So here are the lobsters. So it's a quilting cotton, and I originally bought this because I was maybe going to turn it into a jacket, maybe use it in a dress, and I ended up making the lobster dress, and I was so focused on getting all the colour balance right because it's purple and blue and orange. And I was so focused on getting that right that I forgot to put the lobster fabric in. So I was like, I'll just make a jacket to match. And this jacket, my goodness, it is so heavy. Oh, this is me just pointing out that the lining also has orange in it. So, you know, it totally belongs in the orange collection. From the profile or the side, it's quite clear that the front is long and the back is cropped. Well, the front isn't that long. It's cropped but not super cropped, whereas the back is, and I like that about it. But yeah, and the back, oh my gosh, I love the back of this jacket. The red beads they're a lot flatter than I usually do the design feature on the back, so it looks like a mosaic. It is amazing. I think because I also use these sequins that sort of have a 3D sheen to them, it's really mesmerizing. I sort of just keep shifting from one foot to the other. Don't worry, I didn't do it while I was filming. But yeah, it's really mesmerizing, the back of the jacket. I love it. And I ran out of, so there's the big animal beads, and then there's these glass sort of sea-coloured beads, and then there's stems of like little stacks of 3 or 4 seed beads in all different colours that harmonise with the jacket. And I ran out of the seed beads, so that I had to make them in sort of the same colours, sort of not. So it looks the same from far away, but if you get up close, some of them are just completely like the metallic ones, whereas the rest of the jacket isn't. It was great fun to make. I made it quite a few videos on that one because it just took so long to make. I was like, I've done a little bit more of it. Anyway, this is me showing you. I took so long to set up all these orange beads because I happen to have like a lot of orange beads in one box. So I was like, and I'll get these ones out, and I'll get these ones out. And then I just got more jars, and I was like, okay, it's possible I'm getting a little too carried away here. So yes, I definitely did, but I think it looks really good in all the shots. Okay, so plus I was just putting off filming all these jackets. This is a Linton tweed. I've had a few people ask where they can buy tweeds. I've got a whole video on where you can buy tweeds, but long story short, Linton Tweeds in the UK and Mood Fabrics, New York City, both have really good online stores and they deliver globally. I'm not sponsored by anyone, never sponsored by anyone, but those are the places I would go to. Mood Fabrics also has really good quality silk that you can use for the lining. There's some incredibly expensive Italian silks, but they also have really, really good quality, just regular silk. Go for the 100% silk, not the one with a little bit of elastic in there. Silk charmeuse is the silk that you're supposed to use. It's heavier than you would expect, but that actually makes it easier to cut out. So I've shown you the fringe, the handmade fringe. I've got a video about how you make fringe. It's just basically buy really expensive stuff and then spend ages making it into a fringe. And I don't have enough of those pearls that I did a sample of on the back, so I'm thinking of carefully taking them off. And I do have enough of those apricot hearts, so maybe that, or I could do a mix of all different beads, because it's kind of like got little squares on it, the design of the tweed, so I could put one bead in each square like I did with the dragonfly jacket or the Egyptian tweed. So yeah, I love that one. It's a really unusual. Linton Tweed rarely do tweeds like that. This one, if you like this, I'd say check out Mood Fabrics, because they have something, it's not this like this one here, but they look similar, and they have them in like 27 different colorways or something. So if this traditional looking tweed is the style that you want, then I'd say check out that one first. But Linton Tweed occasionally do ones like this as well. And then the beaded trim, because there's so many colors in the tweed, I could not decide which color to do. But then I had these frosted glass beads in amber, and I was like, when am I ever going to be able to use these ones? Plus the silk that I used for the lining is burnt orange, so I was like, yes, they're two different genres of orange, but still, it sort of pushed me towards going orange on the beaded trim rather than the hot pink is quite prominent in there. And also, if you wanted it to be safe, you could have done black. It has these shots of mint green, and green is my favorite color. So, I was tempted, but it wouldn't have, it works. The mint green in there works because it's just these tiny little flecks. Whereas if you'd done the whole beaded trim, I think it would have been a bit much. The camera is not loving the colors in this, but what I love about this, it's a Marc Jacobs tweed. Oh yeah. So if you're wondering why I decided orange, I've got this Italian's amazing digital print Italian silk for the lining, but also it's metallic and it's winter and autumn colors mixed together. I haven't beaded it yet. I can't decide what to bead it. But yeah, I love it. And next we have, this is a vintage Linton tweed. It is amazing. I've got a little bit of footage of what it looked like before I made it. I put all the kilt pins and the safety pins all over it. It's the most beautiful tweed. It looks so 1980s. The two films that I keep watching from the 1980s are Desperately Seeking Susan and this one with Whoopi Goldberg, Jumping Jack Flash. And they both have scenes or sequence in them where the main character walks down New York streets and there's just loads of fashion. And this reminds me, and they all both have, because I guess punks were a big thing in America, well, New York City in the 1980s. And yeah, so there's a couple of people with like loads of safety pins in their tops and bright color clothes and things. So this always reminds me of the 1980s. It's probably not that old, but it is a vintage one. So yeah, it's pretty amazing. And I had so much fun. Like, I just felt really time poor a few months ago, and I was like, but I want to finish a design from start to finish. And I was like, oh, I have quilt pins. So I did the quilt pins, and then I remembered that I had some safety pins as well. So I chained them all together, and it was so much fun. And then I went back to beading, and I was like, okay, I'm cool. I've got enough patience to do some actual beading again. So it was a good sort of press restart for me. This is one of my oldest beaded jackets. You can tell because the trim was still really thin. When I started beading my jackets, it was the trim was even thinner than this, and it gradually got wider and wider and wider, and eventually I was like, yeah, this is getting a little bit overboard. And then I did the wider they get and the heavier they get, the more difficult they are to stitch on, because you do the beaded trim first. And then, well, you make the jacket first, and then you measure out how big the beaded trim has to be. And then you make the beaded trim. Once it's complete, you carefully wrap it in bridal tulle. That's this one's got black bridal tulle on it. So, yeah. And then you pin it to the jacket and you stitch it on. I use invisible line, so like fishing line. And it's so difficult to stitch on, but it looks really good once it's done. This jacket here is Vogue jacket pattern. It is Vogue 1536. And I got the number wrong, so I had to look it up. 1536. And it had a collar and lapels, and the back was like this arrow thing. So I straightened out the back and changed the front center so it had no lapels, and did it without the collar. So kind of the same, but not really. I like the flared sleeves, and yeah, if I did it again, I would probably make it's a little too cropped for me. I've got this fringe that I made that's that burnt orange and black and all these beautiful colors, so I'm going to stitch that on once I've beaded it. So I have to bead it in the colours that match the fringe, and then I'll attach the fringe and it won't look so cropped. And next we have, oh my gosh, I love this. The tweed is from Linton Tweeds, and it's sort of a parchment colour. Oh, and this is me telling you, the beads that I use on this one were originally for the orange Chanel, and they match the orange Chanel perfectly, but I didn't like them, and I did put them on that first, but then I had to take them carefully take them off the Chanel tweed, because it just, I don't know, it was too meh. Like, what's the point of buying something as unique as a Chanel tweed if you're not going to go completely extra when you bead it? So yeah, I took the beads off, and then I had this bead mix, and I was like, great. And then I remembered I had this tweed, which is very, very colourful, and I love this tweed so much that I bought 3 meters of it. And to make a Chanel suit, traditionally you buy 3 meters if you're a size 10 or smaller. And so I bought the fabric, the tweed, intending to make a suit, but I'm not a suit person. I wear jeans, t-shirt and a jacket. That's it. And so when I had the 3 meters is just more than 3, a little bit, about 3.5 yards. And I had it, and it's enough, because my jackets are so small and so cropped, it's enough to make 3 jackets. So I was like, yeah, I'll make 3 jackets. So one of them is that, and I'll eventually show you the other 2. Or you can look it up, there's a video where I've got all 3 of them. And this is the Chanel tweed. So yeah, as I said, I first beaded it with beads that totally matched, and then I was like, no, that doesn't look right. And then I was like, well, green is my favorite color. So yeah, I did it. And after I'd done it, I was like, well, a while after I'd done it, I was like, why do I love this jacket so much? And eventually I realized, like, when I was a baby, I had this ugly, ugly toy frog. Well, he wasn't ugly to me. He's beautiful to me. But objectively, I guess you could say he was you know, aesthetically challenged. He was, or like the top part was, it was like very 3D, and the top part was all bright green, and the underside was this vintage floral in oranges and really loud colors. Anyway, so I think that's why I like that jacket so much. Plus, it's a Chanel tweed. This one is actually the lobster jacket. Is, I know they look completely different, but this is the pattern that it's from, and a simplicity one, and I just kept changing it, and the daisy jacket and the Paris jacket that I'm working on at the moment. Actually, I was working on the Paris jacket today, adding more green to it. I love bright green. It's so sunshiny. So this is a reversible jacket, this one. One side's the Chelsea Flower Show one, and this side's a vintage, more sort of goldeny colours. And that simplicity pattern is really good. It's easy to just redraft it, but also if you just wanted to make it as it is, it's just really simple pattern, front, back and sleeve, and you just sort of, they're pretty much straight lines, all the sewing. So if you're new to machine sewing or you don't have a machine, you could easily do that, whip that one up by hand. Anyway, this is one of my first jackets, and the sequin on it are vintage. A lot of them are vintage, almost all of them are vintage, which is why I didn't put many beads over the top of them, because the vintage sequins are pretty expensive. And I made faux pocket tops as well, and this is a Linton tweed, and it's ugly but sometimes I look at a tweed or a fabric, and like the lobster one too, and I'm just like, wow, that would be a challenge to make up, and to, like, how do you even bead this? It's white and it's got grey and red and orange in there, and I was like, what do you even, like, how? So yeah, and then I had these pretty hideous vintage sequins. They're orange on one side and this sort of coral pinky weird color on the other side, and some gold vintage sequins as well, which are beautiful. But yeah, anyway, so I'm really happy with the way that one turned out. I had second thoughts about the beaded trim for a while, and then I was like, actually no, I really like it. So yes. And then next, I can't remember which one is. Oh my goodness, I love this. This is my apricot floral jacket. Believe it or not, this was inspired by, at the start of the year, I was going to do a month, each month I was going to have a movie as the inspiration. So this was Desperately Seeking Susan, and at the very start of the movie, she's in some gambling city, and she's getting room service, and there's an apricot lily on the room service tray, and I was like, I've got apricot flowers, I'll make an apricot floral jacket. And then I just added loads of apricot beads as well. I love those glass crystal cut, like glass cut ones, they're amazing. And then I had these bow beads, like so impractical. And I also had these strawberries. They're like kids' jewellery, and I've got them in 2 different sizes. And I bought a bunch in one size and a bunch in the other size. And then I was just going to put a few in it. And then I was like, no, I'm going to put all the ones that I have. So it's, I don't know. I loved it once I did it. But now that I look at it, I'm like, if I pulled this apart and made it on a different jacket, it would be so much better. I don't like, because I decided that it would be better as a cropped jacket, because the more cropped the jacket is, the less less surface area there is, so it will be faster to finish it. That was my thinking behind making it so cropped. And also see how the fronts don't meet in the center? I sort of made the 2 fronts a little bit wider. I like this jacket, this base jacket, better, but I don't like this actual floral jacket as much. Actually, I don't mind it now. When I first made it, I was like, no, I don't like this. But I think it's the yellow that I don't like in it. And I do have loads of orange flowers in those jars. The cookie jar is full of yellow and orange flowers. So I suppose if I just use them on this as well. I don't know about mixing floral flowers with sequin flowers and bead flowers though. I feel like it's too much. Yes, because all my jackets are just so subtle. You wouldn't want to go over the top now, would you? But no, I don't know. This jacket looked really, really pretty when it was just foliage. So I'm thinking of also maybe just taking the flowers off it and just adding more foliage. But we shall see. And next we've got Tuesday, Thursday jackets. So when I buy enough, well, I didn't buy enough tweed to make 2 jackets. I only bought 1 meter of this fabric and 1 meter of this gorgeous, gorgeous grey tweed that looked like a fisherman's knitted jacket, knitted sweater, but they didn't have that, so they just gave me 2 meters of this. And like compared to the grey one that they didn't send me, I'm still in love with it. They never sent it. And anyway, so I had enough to make 2 jackets. I was like, whatever. It's got orange and blue in there. So I'll just make maybe bead one with blue and one with orange. But I did the orange one. It's orange and ivory. I'll show you that next. And then the other one I never got around to. So they're not true Tuesday, Thursday jackets because you have to have 2 and you have to wear one on Tuesday and one on Thursday for them to be true Tuesday, Thursday jackets. But if you didn't watch the previous episode I made of my jacket collections, where in the blue section, in the pale blue video, I've got 2 pale blue jackets and they've got different beading on them. Anyway, so this is the other one, and the butterfly one that I just showed you, which is half done, I just love the way, monarch butterflies, and they're orange and they migrate and they all fly in like these clouds of butterflies, and I just love it. And they get tired, so they rest, and they all rest on the sunny side of the tree, and it's so beautiful. And so anyway, that's why I made the butterfly jacket. And then this is the other one, it's beaded trim, and this is me just showing you that I still wasn't very good at beading. So the top one doesn't have very many pearls, and then the bottom one has too many pearls because I ran out of those star-shaped apricots and orange glass beads. So yeah, me mixing the beads wasn't great, but I mean, I think it looks well enough. It looks beautiful from far away, but if you get up close, and like I'm the one who wears the jacket, so when you wear a jacket, you sort of look at the beaded trim a lot. So I see everything that's wrong with them. And yeah, as I'm wearing them, I'm like, okay, if I remade this one with exactly the same beads, I would change this, I would make this better. So yes, hypercritical is the polite way of describing me, I guess. This one here, if you watch the gold jackets one, then you would have seen the aqua tweed, and this is the same tweed in a different colorway, and it's apricot and it's white, and it's also got the white pom-poms in there. And and I don't know why I did the mauve beaded trim. I think because apricot is sort of a pastel color. It's more orange than apricot, but then it also had the wine and navy in there, and I was like, maybe mauve beads. And I had these gorgeous vintage mauve sequins that are used as the base, and I love it. But I originally made this beaded trim because I thought I was going to use it on this McCall's jacket. This jacket pattern here, it is a great pattern. It's got some mistakes in it, so if you don't know how to redraft, steer clear of it. And I discovered the Vogue 7975, and I ended up making this tweed using the Vogue 7975, and it's completely different the amount of trim you need is completely different. So yes, always make the jacket first, then measure how much trim you'll need and make it, because each jacket pattern is completely different. And also each tweed, when you make it up, you end up needing a different amount of trim on each one. Like a bulky tweed the jacket will end up different size than a tweed that's really thin and light. So yeah, make the jacket first, then measure how much trim you're going to need. I know the trim is the exciting part for me. It's like the icing on the cake. But yes, I learnt that the hard way. So this one, again, these two jackets aren't true Thursday jackets, because this is another Linton tweed where I loved it so much that I bought 3 meters of it. And there is a third jacket. Okay, I hear myself, but So, but the third one is cropped and I haven't beaded it yet. So these two, what is amazing about these two jackets is this one looks really pale and the lemon is emphasized and you can really see the black dots in it. Whereas the one with the pink beading, well, it's mixed colored beads, but the pink beads on there look so pink. Don't they look like different tweeds from far away? But they're actually the same tweed. It's amazing. Well, it's amazing to me each time I look in the wardrobe and, well, I store them in a storage box most of the time now. But yeah, I used to, when I was in film school, I would wear these two quite a lot because back then I had a limited amount of jackets. I only had like 10 or 15 to choose from. So they were all in the wardrobe. But yeah. And these were, yeah, if I wore one on Tuesday, I would wear the other one on a Thursday, just because I love the tweed and I love the two different beaded trims. One's used buttons and like 6 different types of micro seed beads. And then this one is pony beads, those larger ones. And then vintage sequins and also some seed beads and micro seed beads. They were so much fun to make and yeah, really love them. With the button beaded trim, I didn't put any sequin underneath them. Big mistake. So I really want to remake that one. And yeah, I think I would, yeah. I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, you need to remake that. But I also used, as the base, I used black netting, which, it's so obvious. Like if I'd used a beige or an off-white, it would have been so much better. Anyway, we have one last one. And it is the orangest of the orange. It is so vitamin C. I sometimes call this the vitamin C jacket. And it is, I think in a previous video I said it's just 2 layers of netting and that's all the jacket is. It's actually 3. There are 2 different coloured oranges. One's sort of more mustardy orange and then I had twice as much of this neon orange. So it's 3 layers of netting, but it's not stiff enough. That's why I needed to use 3 layers instead of just my standard 2. Also, there's loads of beading and there's no other fabric over the top of it. So if I had my time again, I would use a more robust netting. But oh my gosh, this is so pretty. It reminds me of that painting, The Lovers. I apparently can't say the name of the artist because YouTube gets confused by my accent. But anyway, I used up so many orange beads in this. And I guess I had my orange beads in a couple of different boxes because at the time I was like, right, I'm going to use up all my orange beads. But as you can see, I still have many, many orange beads. But I've got some really large ones on here. And I was like, I think you went a little bit overboard on using everything up. But there's also some golden ones in here and it's such a beautiful mix. And at night, because at night some beads absorb way more light than other ones, and they just get really, really dark. And it looks completely different at night. It looks, so, yeah, it's just amazing. Well, clearly I'm more fascinated by my jackets than anyone else. But yeah, I'm really happy with the way that this turned out. Most of my jackets, when I look at them, I'm like, okay, well, if I had to remake this one, this is what I would change. This is what I would change. This one, I think the base jacket, if it was made of a more robust netting, that would be better. But apart from that, I really love the way that it turned out. So that is it. Gosh, and so I'm just going to do a highlights reel again of all the ones. There are a lot of, because orange is not it's not that I hate orange or purple, it's just that green is my favorite color. So whenever I'm faced with orange or purple, I'm like, yeah, but it's not green. So yeah, it's a little surprising to me that that one's beautiful, that there's so many orange ones. But I guess I have been collecting tweeds for 15 years, and I have been collecting beads for even longer than that. So, eventually you get around to every colour and most shades of every colour. I love that apricot one with the mauve beading. And now I just want to wear all the jackets. Anyway, so that is it. Thank you very much for watching. This was a long one, wasn't it? Take care of yourself, stay safe, and happy holidays.